RosterWatch Nation, welcome back. I am Cody Carpentier. You can find me on X at Cody Carpentier. And today I'm back again with another 2024 NFL Draft Rookie Spotlight, talking wide receivers once again. Today, that player is Ja'Lynn Polk out of Washington. Not Odunze, not Jalen McMillan, but Ja'Lynn Polk. 3 studs at Washington this year. And Ja'Lynn Polk is the next in line to get talked about. 6'2", 204 pounds. He's going to be 22 years old here in about a month and a half. And he's a pretty polarizing prospect. And I think that's going to continue to grow over the course of the process. Sometimes when there's a multitude of stars in a room, one guy gets overshadowed. And it does feel like that was Ja'Lynn Polk over the course of the season. We're going to unroll all of that here in just a second. But first, I want to ask you to please click that like button. Please click subscribe. And if you are listening on podcast, of course, please drop 5 stars, as that does indeed help us as a podcast grow in the space. And of course, you know, growth is the most important thing other than giving you guys the best content possible. So thank you guys again for tuning in and tapping in. Let's get to Ja'Lynn Polk and let's get down to the nitty gritty. First and foremost, his offensive market shares in 2022. In 2022. In 2023, 18% of the receptions, 22% of the yards, and 24% of the touchdowns. Again, playing with Odunze, playing with Jalen McMillan in this offense. He's from Lufkin, Texas. He went to Texas Tech out of high school as a 3-star prospect in the 2020 class, transferred to Washington after that first season at Texas Tech. And in that first 2 years, he really only combined for about 350 receiving yards. And then that third year, he was at Washington. The second year at Washington, third in his career, he went for 694 yards. That was 2022. In 2023, he had 69 receptions, 1,159 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns in that Washington offense. As really the number 2 in that offense, Jalen McMillan back in 2022 was the number 2. McMillan was injured in 2023 for the most part, vaulting Polk into that opportunity to kind of take over as the number 2 receiver in this offense this year. I think some of the pros that Polk brings to the table at 6'2", 204 pounds, he's pretty insufferably smooth at the catch point. His contortion ability, I just tweeted a picture out about it. He's one of the smoothest operators when the ball is a split second from being in his hands, when the ball is in his hands, and that split second after the ball is already in his hands. Like, he's that whole process of framing, getting ready, catching it, turning upfield. He's one of the best in the class at doing that thing. And that's kind of why I said insufferably smooth at the catch point and his contortion ability. Again, some of these guys, they can contort, they can make these sick catches, but they look a little stiff doing it. He's smooth throughout the entire game. Strong hands catchers, got great hand-eye coordination. There's at times you will see him let that ball come into his body, but that's fine. He's for the majority, he's got some of the strongest hands you'll see. Michael Penix made note of that. He said he's got the best hands out of any receiver that Michael Penix himself has played with. He consistently finds the soft spot in defenses. 45 out of 69 receptions in 2023 went for first downs. And as you're continually watching the tape on Ja'Lynn Polk game after game after game, that's all you notice. It's first down. It's right at the sticks. First down, right at the sticks. You'll see the occasional over-the-top opportunity, which that's not really part of his game. His game is working between 5 and 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that kind of goes into when you look at his ADOT and his yards per reception. He had 108 targets in 2023, 15th in the country. Again, playing with Odunze, who was second with 140. 16.8 yards per reception, but his ADOT was only 13.8. And it didn't feel like a guy that you saw 16.8 yards per reception. Didn't feel like that guy, that is always pushing the ball down the field. This guy's always catching that ball between, it feels like, the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yards from the line of scrimmage marker. That's where the yak comes in though. He's very proficient in yards after catch. He was top 40 in the country this year in 2023. First downs on first downs on first downs on first downs. That's what it feels like when you're watching Ja'Lynn Polk, and that's what the comp came to for me was Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen, of course, is the model of consistency at the wide receiver position over the course of the last decade, not being a superstar, but being the model of consistency at probably like that tier 3, tier 4 wide receiver in the NFL, where you just know he's going to be there. And of course, in fantasy football, that's only going to continue to assist you. Currently in NFL draft ADPs, Ja'Lynn Polk's going off at about 60 overall, which is about wide receiver 9, wide receiver 10 overall. In fantasy drafts, you're looking probably at the third round, the middle of the third round, before Polk gets coming off the board. We just did a 2-round mock over on X, at RosterWatch on X, aka Twitter. It's pinned at the top of the screen. We're doing an X exclusive mock draft shows now. I just had my man Matty Kiwam on. Next week, I'm going to have Ray Garvin on, Ryan McDowell, and so on and so forth over the course of the next couple of weeks. So make sure you go over to X, follow along at RosterWatch, and tap into those rookie mocks and get a feel for some of those ADPs. But Ja'Lynn Polk's going to be a guy consistently, I think, in the middle of the third round. That's going to be a sick value. Kind of reminds me, not in the play style or anything like that, because my comp is Adam Thielen, but projecting from last year's class to this year's class, a Mingo/Rice type of an output. I don't think he quite gets drafted as high as Mingo, of course, being 33rd overall. But even if he goes 55, 60 in that area, Polk in an offense like Buffalo, Polk I don't want to say Kansas City, because that's, of course, where Rashee Rice is, but an offense that is devoid and needs a piece. Think of Cincinnati, where they could potentially lose T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd this year. Ja'Lynn Polk would be disgusting in that setting, because he could easily intake 80, 90 targets as a rookie in the NFL, and that is just chef's kiss. That is just, you're just printing money at that point if you're drafting Ja'Lynn Polk in the third round. He's not a mega separator downfield, as I mentioned before, but he's a very savvy operator. He lacks that true downfield deep threat ability. I projected him for about that 4.50, 4.49 40-yard speed, which again isn't slow, but when you're talking about that downfield ability, he's not going to separate against NFL talent on 9 routes, on deep crossers and things of that nature. He's going to continue to work like Adam Thielen does. He's going to dominate the middle sector of the field between 5 and 15 yards. That's what he's going to be. He's not a hammer in the run game. Very solid. I think he occasionally struggles with some concentration drops that popped up on tape. That's about it. And then off the field, he won the Husky Fever 12th Man Award in 2021. His first year on campus at Washington, he won the Husky Fever 12th Man of the Year award. So that's, basically being the guy that's not on the field, but he's the hyper teammate, the best teammate out there. That was Ja'Lynn Polk in 2021. Again, this is a very solid football player that I think is being overlooked right now because of Odunze, because of how stacked this receiving room is. Over the course of the last week and a half, we've done a couple of these write-ups, and I just want to talk you through a couple rookies that I did write up and I did rank, and where Ja'Lynn Polk is going to really line up next to these guys. We just did Troy Franklin the other day. We just did Brian Thomas the other day. Ja'Lynn Polk is right between these guys. Troy Franklin, he's top 4 for me in the class. Ja'Lynn Polk is going to come in right behind him. Brian Thomas is a little bit further down there. I'm also dropping a top 25 NFL draft wide receiver rankings list over on RosterWatch.com. That's probably going to come out over the course of the weekend, maybe Monday. We'll see when that comes up. But when it will be out, it will be on Twitter. I'll tweet that out at Cody Carpentier. It'll be tweeted out from RosterWatch, and it'll be on RosterWatch.com, of course. So make sure you tune in and tap in for that top 25 NFL draft rookie wide receivers. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Appreciate you guys in the chat for tuning in here on the YouTubes, on X. Again, keep on tuning in. RosterWatch.com, RosterWatch.com. Please click that like button. Please click subscribe. We'll be back with much more content as the weeks continue. A lot of things are scheduled. A lot of things are planned. RosterWatch Nation, we're here. We appreciate you.